Dun, 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 dun. It's been, oh, Penny, you're really getting into it.
I totally am.
It's been a long time since we've heard that theme music, hasn't it? It's been too
Oh my
long.
gosh.
It's been too long.
Too long.
We need to get back into our regular podcasting schedule because our public is,
They
you know, they're
demand it. They demand it of us.
it's true. It's true. We have a following, and if we don't do this, they're just going to go, you know, find two other cantors that walk into a bar, and they're not going to follow us anymore.
No,
But anyway, let me introduce ourselves.
No one walks into a bar quite like we do.
That and for the past year, no one has really walked into a bar anyway. But we'll just get started. Cheers, clink.
Clink.
We have our old fashioned.
Chaim.
Chaim. I am Cantor Matt Axelrod of Scotch Plains, New Jersey, and I'm here with the affable.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Indeed. You
Thank
like
you.
the double entendre? I am Cantor.
No, it was just a single entendre, but okay, anyway, but who are you?
Who am I?
You don't even know who you are. You know, it says it on the bottom of your Zoom box.
Wait, let me read it. Let me read. I'm Cantor Penny Myers from the balmy Buffalo, New York.
It is, and it is wonderful to be together finally. Because we're sort of straddling the pandemic, post-pandemic time, we haven't yet walked ourselves back into a bar for real. So we're still virtually here. So again, with our old fashions, and cheers one more time. But stay tuned because you know, I think things are getting back to normal a little bit. We're gonna talk about that soon.
Are you vaccinated?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. For a couple months now. You? I'm sure you are.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but you got to look at your arm and see if there's a needle sticking out. Are you vaccinated? I don't know.
Let me check.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much everyone I know, and already, you know, everyone's teenage kids, and a lot of, you know, my even my bar mitzvah kids are getting vaccinated. A lot of them have gotten to their first shot at least. Because it's 12 and over now. So
that's right.
Yeah, but yeah, and we'll talk about that coming up as well. But first, I just want to just make a little comment. It's sort of a tradition for us, Penny, going on a couple years that we try to do, or at least a couple of years, we try to do a podcast episode, at least one, on location from convention. Well, now that takes on a little bit of a strange meaning this year, but I do want to point out that this is the week of our Cantors Assembly Convention.
And we are blowing off a session right now.
That's right, because we would rather be with you instead of, okay. But so we, obviously we can't yet be in person. This is a virtual convention. We'll be getting back to normal. However, we wanted to keep the tradition alive, and we are here with you during convention. And it has really been a most wonderful convention. And the way that they have utilized technology and the tools that we have at hand have really been, you know, you think, okay, I'm going to sit in front of my computer for 4 days or something, and that doesn't sound too appealing to most people. But they've done a good job of mixing up, you know, different platforms and video and pre-recorded and live and Zoom, and it's really just been another outstanding convention. Do you agree with that?
Totally 100% agree.
Keep on talking. I got to take a drink.
I know. Totally 100%. I will speak slowly so you can savor. You know, this convention in particular, I mean, yes, we had Midwinter, which was usually in Palm Springs, where we would be recording by the pool.
That's right.
Which actually makes me wonder if when we're together in person, when it's, you know, whenever the next time is, that maybe would it be weird to do one of these in person?
Well, so we have some professional decisions to make going forward.
Oh my God.
Some artistic decisions. Do we want to stick with this format? Or do we want to go back to sitting in our bar together and being audio only? Because we can't really bring the computer in and record us in video in a bar, because if we thought we were going to get kicked out before, we'd definitely get kicked out.
Definitely going to get kicked out. Absolutely. Right. But wait, before I was tangenting, which I often
Tangenting. Oh, I like that. Yes.
You like that? I made that up. Irregardless.
Don't say that.
I know.
You blow my computer.
You're underwhelmed, you're overwhelmed. Are you just whelmed?
I am a little whelmed, and I'm shoveled at least. I'm not disheveled. I'm shoveled.
Shoveled. I know. So this convention in particular, I find to be very powerful because if we weren't in a pandemic, Dianu, if we didn't have this technology to reach our colleagues all over the world in real time, Dianu, I mean, we've got colleagues who are in Israel who are joining us. You know, we wouldn't have had the superstars of the Jewish music world part of our convention. And P.S., Matt, as a co-chair of next year's 20,
which is good. And where's that going to be, Penny?
It's going to be in Los Angeles.
Los Angeles.
I know. Here's the deal: not to give too much away, and it's not.
Oh, give it. Just give it. Give it away.
No, but you know, there are things actually. The convention committee. So I'm a co-chair of this of the 75th anniversary of the Cantors Assembly convention in 2022, which will be in May in Los Angeles. Very huge. We have been, you know, having side conversations during this convention saying, what are we going to keep? What aspects should we keep from this format? And what should we, you know, revert back to in person? And there are certainly a bunch of different aspects of what we have experienced this week during our convention. Today's our last day. That we want to preserve for next year.
So I'm glad you brought that up, and it's like you read my mind, because that's exactly what I want us to talk about today. And you just, that was a perfect segue about maintaining aspects of what we're doing presently and how to take that going forward. Because as I alluded to before, we can see it's not, things are not over yet, and it's not like all clear, but we can see that pandemic wise, we're turning a corner and restrictions are being lifted and travel and so forth and so forth and so on. And so the question is, when it's all over, you know, do we just say, well, that was an interesting year, thank you very much, and it's business like as usual, like we just go back? Or are there aspects of what we've all been doing over the last year that we're going to maintain, either because we want to maintain it, or people want us to, or it's just better? It's funny. This has been, I guess the technical term is, this has been a disruptive event. It has resulted in a whole bunch of change in one small compressed period of time that, you know, in a regular period might have taken 10, 15 years. And boom, and within months, the picture of Judaism was changed in a matter of months, as far as what it looked like and what services were like, what it was like for congregants, what it was like for us as clergy. And in a lot of ways, I think that's a good thing. You
think it's a good thing because you're living your best life right now.
Well, because the virtual remote aspect has given us a lot of flexibility. And I also will say, and I think I spoke about this on a previous podcast episode, it has resulted in a lot of us, me for sure, and I know a lot of our colleagues, have had to develop skills that we never.
Oh yeah, totally. So, didn't know how to turn on a computer before.
Right. So, you know, in my case, I have been loving the creativity of creating virtual choir videos and getting proficient with that software, and getting the audio right, and you know, messing with that.
Wait, can we just?
We can do anything you want. It's our podcast.
No, can we just state a fact, first of all, that has to be said?
Okay.
Number
one, I can edit this fact out if it's not true.
You are totally not going to.
Okay, yeah.
Number one, I don't think any of our members have ever heard Chazan Matt Axelrod sing.
I did. I sang in one of our virtual concerts this week. It took a pandemic.
It took a pandemic,
but I did sing in a concert.
Yes, right. It took a pandemic. And I gotta say, like, Matt, your creativity is very inspiring. I, on the other hand, am very
Penny, don't go down that rabbit hole.
No. I'm frightened of technology. Like, you know, I'm worried that even though I may shut off my computer that's still watching me.
Well, you actually, but even more practically,
The
it's
NSA is watching
you
me.
have to watch out that you didn't accidentally click your video or microphone on when you thought the screen was on. I mean, that's
Oh, I've heard horror stories about that.
we've all. I mean, I've been obsessively looking at the little slash through the video icon
All
on
during
Zoom
this
all
convention.
week. That's
Yeah,
right.
all
Right.
during this
Yeah.
convention, because God forbid I'm talking to myself and I say interesting things to myself. Anyway,
Maybe a future episode is Zoom fails we have experienced over the last year. That'll be an extended play episode between
God.
services, shivas, bar mitzvahs, guests,
Yes, okay,
meetings.
okay,
Right?
okay.
We would have to cancel the whole day's activities and just speak for like
Is it
7 hours.
is it Zoom or is it also for Face? I think we should encompass FaceTime as well. I think
I
any
mean,
kind of video.
I guess anything, but I mean, we've all been on Zoom, pretty much exclusively for, I don't know,
It's
18
now
months.
become a verb. I
That's
Zoom,
right.
you Zoom,
That's
we
right.
Zoom.
That's right.
Zoom.
So Penny, I want to ask you, for the stuff you've been doing on Zoom, or should I just say any of the adjustments you've had to make
Yep.
in any aspects of your professional life, what would you like to continue doing? What do you think has worked that we should not be so quick to discard? Put you on the spot on that one, didn't I?
I know, because I have mixed feelings about it. I mean, honestly, I think meetings, like general meetings, like in our synagogues when we have a board
Yes.
meeting, or whether
Yes.
there's something to be said about human chemistry and talking
I
together.
have to interrupt you, and I'm sorry to talk over you, and it's terrible, but I have to interrupt you. Everyone always says, "Well, there's something about human interaction, but," and like it's like, no, there isn't. It's just the but. It's just like, well, there's something about human interaction, but Zoom board meetings are awesome, and no one wants to see each other, and no one wants to spend 2 hours, when you can just sit in front of your computer. And it's the Zoom equivalent of, well, this meeting really could have been an email. So
Yeah.
in the future,
Yeah.
we're going to be sitting in person, say, this meeting really could have been on Zoom.
But that's right. There are some things I'd like to preserve moving forward. I mean, certainly I'm not a big fan of Zoom worship because as I've said before, I miss, that,
I'm going to say human interaction.
no, I totally miss human. I miss the sights, the smells, the sounds, the actual palpable feelings of human beings going through davening with me. However, doing my Friday night Kehillat Chesed services allows me the freedom to do whatever I want.
Right.
I think for like all intents and purposes, especially for synagogues, I think when I think of tachlis, like meetings, I think that there are many meetings that could be done remotely, which allows flexibility for so many people. Because right now, I mean, think about it. You don't have a commute.
Right.
You could actually have dinner. I mean, yes, you could have dinner, I suppose, around the board table at the shul.
No one's going to do that.
But no one does that.
No, if the meeting starts at 8, everyone logs on at 8. They do their meeting. They shut off they leave whenever it's over.
Lasts as long. Like you find that side conversations, very not red herrings. Very ambiguous, like completely tangential conversations don't occur. There's like a weird
except in the chat box.
Except in the chat box. That's right. But you know what? You could always disable that, as I know many synagogues do during meetings and worship. But I really feel strongly that like a lot of our like a financial meeting could be totally done via Zoom. I think it's more efficient.
Yeah, I do too. There's like a lot I want to respond to on that. But as far as like the worship, so
speak as long as you like, because I'd like to.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll say it later. I'm a big fan of the virtual platform, as
really?
we've already figured that out a little bit.
Really?
However, I mean, there are I do miss human interaction when it comes to worship. I'll get to that. But one of the interesting things is when I'm leading a service virtually only, like even before people were allowed back in the sanctuary, and it was just Friday night or Saturday morning, and it was just, me and maybe one other person and the computer. It gave a lot more flexibility. Tunes that I would never think of touching in 30 years.
Right.
All of a sudden I was doing new tunes because I just felt a certain freedom, untethered from the pull of the congregation. Sometimes you've probably experienced this also. Always. You're about to get into a text, you're about to get into a tune. Everyone knows what you're going to sing. God forbid you take a breath.
Oh my goodness!
Clear your throat, and they're already singing. They're already singing it. So I mean, that's nice. I mean, they're engaged. I'm not going to complain about that, but it completely eliminates the possibility. Like, hey, maybe I had planned to do another tune for. So now I can do that with freedom. I can like clear my throat or just take a breath or something like that, and then get into the next song or the next text on my own little personal
you don't feel that sense of pressure of all those eyes on you.
Yes.
And I'd like to piggyback a little bit and echo what you're saying. Yes, feel free. I'm almost done, by the way, with mine, so I may have to fill up. It's we as chazanim, as cantors, we really have a different, more intimate sense of flow of time and space. And you're right. I mean, melodies, even more nisach, I would typically never do in the synagogue I work at. You feel a sense of, especially, knowing congregants as well as you do, when someone shows up and you see them, if they have been so open and bold to suggest what their preferences
Absolutely. When someone's there, it affects you.
It affects it. Like, I know that I have to do this version of Mishu Berach Lecholim when this person is in the kahal.
And sometimes that one guy comes to shul, and he's the one that likes this tune or doesn't like this tune.
Or they sit like this.
Yeah, and it affects it. We shouldn't let it, after all this time, but it affects the flow. And now that's gone.
It's gone, right? And there's that freedom and that latitude. I liked how you said untethered, because even though I call it Kabbalat Shabbat, it's not just Kabbalat Shabbat. And if I want to daven, tefillah silently on Friday night, I can. Whereas if I'm in the shul, I don't, because it's expected. And if I want to avoid certain melodies because, I'm uninspired by certain melodies that,
or they're just tired. You've had it. You want to do something different. Right?
Yes. Having that flexibility to do that is just a gift, a gift. That's
so the question is, when we go back to in-person, well, I mean, we have gone back to in-person services.
Yeah.
But when we go back to like regular full attendance in-person services, does that change? Are we changed now, or does it just go back?
I think, well, first of all, when you say, look, Yom Tov, although it's on time, it's very early in our secular calendar. So we're looking at
it's Labor Day this year.
Yeah, it's
Labor Day.
I honestly think we're going to be like a hybrid model. I think that, I don't think that our shuls, I don't think we should expect to be totally everything like.
No, I agree. I mean, I think what's going to happen is that a lot of us will be very similar to how we were last year, but with a lot more people,
God willing,
optional, that can attend. But one of the things that I do believe will endure is if shul started using virtual technology, live streaming or whatever, my guess is that will continue. I think people are going to want the option to be able to access services virtually, and obviously for a lot of people, this is their only access to services if they're just not able to travel or get out, or they're
the infirmed or the elderly.
Exactly.
Certainly. I hope that institutional Judaism or synagogal Judaism?
Synagogal.
Synagogal, like synagogal mode, synagogal chant.
Synagogal. Oh, I gotta incorporate the word synagogal into my
Look at me
vocabulary. Okay.
teaching you. I mean,
I know.
you're so long in the tooth. I would have thought.
Oh. For those of you listening at home, that was the magic word. Call in now and be the third caller.
No, but I'm just, I'm really hoping that it's my fervent hope that synagogues as institutions, as communities, as houses of worship, and I hate the word worship because it's so like against the Jewish theology, lo faisel, do not worship do not worship idols.
Jot this down for future podcast episode.
Oh my gosh.
We'll get in the weeds on spirituality. Okay.
I know. I struggle with that word, worship.
Okay.
But when we're davening, praying,
right.
I hope that coming out of this pandemic, if we really are coming out of this pandemic, and you're much more optimistic than I am I'm like wondering, like, is this are we in the eye of the pandemic? And
no, I think, I mean, the issue is, will there be, the variants and so forth, but
if we have
I don't know. I guess I'm optimistic about it. I think masks will be an optional piece of clothing that we have and use during certain situations for quite a while. People were saying this is going to be it. No one's ever going to shake hands again.
Oh, hell no.
And handshaking has come
Did
back.
I say hell no? I just said hell no.
That's okay. I think our audience can handle that.
Heck no.
But one thing, and one thing I wanted to discuss, one change that has been made has been Zoom or virtual bar and bat mitzvah lessons, almost exclusively.
You and I are totally.
No, so we are okay. So I'll go first on this one. I am a huge fan for many reasons. Not okay. I will tell you. Thank you. Thank you for expressing interest. Someone cares.
Well, I'm just trying to run out the clock.
See, I think Penny really craves that human interaction, but
I'm just running out the clock.
Okay, so that's okay. They're not perfect in 100% of situations. Obviously, they do have drawbacks. However, they just make things so much easier. Scheduling wise, whenever I've been doing my schedule now for the last year, and I send out my schedule, and what used to sort of be, I can't do it, I get a doctor, I'm at work, I can't get the kid there, this, that. Everyone can make their lesson because they just tell the kid,
right, all
right, log on at 4 p.m. and here's the link. And when I do try to schedule an in-person lesson, then they have an appointment or I can't get, or something like that. And and the kids, because they've been on virtual education for so many of the last months, it's transparent to them. They're just used to using this technology. So it's just one. And other than the limitations of a certain household's, Wi-Fi, and especially if everyone happens to be on or streaming at that time, sometimes that can be a bit of a pain. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is, when you're just beginning lessons with students, that can sometimes be cumbersome because there's more direction, there's more hands-on. The singing in unison aspect of Zoom, which is basically impossible, I thought would be a bigger challenge, and I've gotten very used to it.
Why are you singing? Why?
Well, if you're teaching a tune together and you want to sing with you sing with your bar mitzvah students, don't you?
No.
I mean, Penny's bar, it's the day the music died. It's just nothing.
No, you're on your own. This is the hazing.
Sing anything, you've come to the wrong place. But the point is that I trust no one. It's a limitation of the technology, but I think I've really gotten used to it, and it's not so disturbing most of the time. It's just provides a lot of flexibility.
I agree with you. I'm going to say I will agree with you on that. I mean, what, my lessons with students typically run around 20 minutes time
Mhm.
slots. And people think, oh, 20 minutes, like you can't do much. But after the child's been in school all day long, or like this in school all day long, their attention span is like a fruit fly or a
Mhm.
puppy. And so I find that I can cover actually more material
Uh-huh.
with a shorter amount of time, but also the flexibility that, what happens when the kid gets stuck in traffic and I have another student occurring right after. It's like, this became very user and congregant friendly
Yes.
for sure.
And yeah, and I have often informally shortened the time of lessons, whatever my time slot is. Sometimes I'm like, all right, I think we can call it an afternoon, because Zoom fatigue is a thing. We know that. But
Yeah.
the kids they've done what we need to do,
Then,
and we have that flexibility also on a Zoom lesson.
yeah.
And if I want to take a few extra minutes, I can usually do that too, because I put a little padding in my schedule, so that's not an issue.
Oh, that's not.
And I'm sure our colleagues do this as well. As we get closer to the actual bar or bat mitzvah date,
Right.
we can bring the kid in person, do a BIMA sanctuary run through, and
Yeah.
get them that, so they're not missing out on anything. Practice reading from the Torah, all that kind of
Right.
stuff,
Right.
and they're getting that as well. But so the question is not, it's not just, okay, I like it. Do we think that virtual B'nai Mitzvah lessons is a thing that's going to stick?
I think it is going to stick. I think it's going to stick for this, a typical student.
Mhm.
The flexibility of B'nai Mitzvah lessons this way. There's no driving, there's no rushing,
Yeah.
there's no,
Right.
and
And none of that. But if you get stuck in traffic or you have something, now it's a lot easier for you as well.
yeah.
Uh,
I mean, I'm not a big fan at all of Zoom Shiva minions. I think they're terrible. I think it's terrible.
So I'm going to weigh in on that too. As much as I crave the human interaction, so just my little thing about Zoom
Alright.
minions in general, not just Shiva minions, but Zoom minions in general. I have found, I mean, there's two platforms that we've done worship on. We're on the sanctuary and we're being filmed, like we're streaming either on Facebook Live or web stream or whatever. Okay, and that's kind of passive and frontal. We're standing there and we're
Doing our thing.
we're broadcasting.
Oh.
But then there's Zoom, which is interactive and it's different. So that if I'm doing a minion, if I'm leading a minion now, let's pretend, Penny, you're the only one who shut up for minion. Thank you very much. But here you are.
Well, we wouldn't have a minion if it was just me.
But so it's you, or if it's a Zoom grid, a Brady Bunch grid of so we have 10 people for minion, and it's very interactive and it's very personal. Right here, we're looking at each other. I'm watching your face and watching your lips move as we sing. You're much closer to me this way than if I were leading a minion at a podium in a big room or something, and probably the way I was standing, I'd probably have my back to you anyway. Even if there wasn't an
is that your amud, like your amud?
Yeah, generally I not for Shabbat, but just like for a minion, I would probably set up the because it's traditional to daven in the same direction as everyone else, obviously. Yeah. But so I find that I'm finding a closeness and an intimacy of Zoom minions that might be a little counterintuitive, but I have found it very meaningful to lead minion like this. The question is, do the people who are watching and participating, are they getting the same feeling? I'm busy, I'm singing, I'm doing, and I'm watching.
How do you measure that? What are the metrics? Has any synagogue that we know of done metrics on
it? You got a couple things. First of all, the people who keep coming back every time for minion must be getting something out of it, because they're regular minion attendees, even virtually. But one of the things that I like about it is I can look at the boxes and I'm watching people and they're participating, and I'm watching. I mean, we have them on mute because that's what you do, but
Wait,
I'm watching
actually participating, yes. Not like in my experience.
No, they're holding their
eating,
their
hands on.
Their lips are moving, they're rising and being seated, they're turning the pages, they are there, they're active participants, And the only thing that's different is that, I assume they're singing along. I see their lips moving. And they must have gotten, they must have got, right, a quarter second behind me. They must have gone over, the initial weirdness or discomfort of singing by themselves in a room, but, we all had to get used to that. So, again, and what we've done is, because we're now allowing people in the building for a long time, is our minions are hybrid. So people are there in person and we're also on Zoom at the same time. Listen, Penny, we're coming to the end already. What? Yes. Yes, I know, right? This just flew by because, you know why? Because we had so much to talk about, because it's been too long. We need to record so many episodes that eventually we just kind of look at each other and go, all right, I guess we can call it.
See you later.
I'm out of here. But,
no, people
but we
miss
can.
Us.
People did miss us. People have been. We heard during the week of convention.
We did. We got a huge.
We are. Penny. We're a thing, Penny.
That's creepy.
We're like. It is a little creepy, but we have a following. I mean, people expect. They want to hear. Two Cantors walk into a bar.
They want to hear it. They want to see us.
Yep.
Maybe they don't want to see us, but they want to hear us.
So in the future, stay tuned, because we're going to bring on more special guests. That works out very well.
Not going to tell you who.
Not going to tell you who, because we don't know. But once we figure that out, you'll see it right here. And I invite our loyal viewers and listeners right now, for the first time ever, if you have a topic that you would like us to talk about, please contact us somehow. Well, on Facebook.
We do have an email. I have to actually look it up.
We do have an email. I think we're twocantors@gmail.com. But
you might be
about
right.
that. If you're watching this now, you're almost not guaranteed to be watching this on Facebook right now. So give us a message, send us any message or comment in the comments. And if there's something you want us to discuss, and it's not obscene.
It's not. We have to set some guidelines.
Yeah, and if it's something more than 3 people would find interesting, we're all over it. That's right. And if it's really good, we might invite you to come on as a guest star.
If you're really bad, we're going to invite you.
That's right. Because the first rule of committee work is if you suggest it, you're involved, right?
I know. It's like Fight Club.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. So anyway, Penny, it's I'm just perfect, because I'm just about done with this drink.
I've been done for half this episode.
Okay.
All right.
All right, but listen, it has been great to get back together with you and to do more, and we'll look forward to more episodes. And who knows what we'll discuss, but in the meantime, before we get together next time, or I should say, when we get together next time, as we always like to say, Penny,
the drinks are on us.